Imagine waking up 1 year from today and realizing your life has transformed, not because of one big moment, but because of the hundreds of small, disciplined choices you made every single day. Most people underestimate the quiet power of consistency. They chase intensity, hype, and overnight success, only to fall back into old habits. But not you, not anymore. Today, we're tapping into a timeless lesson from Jim Rohn. Success is built one action at a time. Stay with me till the end, because this message might be the shift your future self will thank you for. 1. The power of daily routines. Jim Rohn said, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." Most people underestimate the quiet power hidden inside ordinary routines because they imagine success as something dramatic, an epic breakthrough, a sudden stroke of luck, or a viral moment that changes everything. But real transformation rarely announces itself with fireworks. Instead, it grows silently, like a seed beneath the soil. Daily routines look modest, even boring, yet they contain the entire architecture of our future. When you wake up early instead of sleeping in, read a few pages instead of scrolling endlessly, save a small amount instead of spending impulsively, or move your body for just 10 minutes instead of remaining still, you are shaping the trajectory of your life in ways that seem invisible at first. The world celebrates intensity, big gestures, overnight success stories, flashy milestones, but it is consistency that actually rewrites your destiny. A person who builds a small but meaningful morning routine rewires their mind before the world even begins to demand anything from them. A person who reads daily expands perspective brick by brick, creating a reservoir of ideas, vocabulary, and insight. A person who dedicates a tiny portion of their income to savings ends up with financial stability and confidence that wishful thinkers never experience. Each action, repeated long enough, becomes automatic. Each automatic behavior becomes identity, and your identity becomes the engine of your life's results. Excellence stops being something you chase and becomes something you live. You stop trying to achieve success and start behaving like someone who naturally creates it. Daily routines give your goals a place to grow, and they protect you from emotional ups and downs that would otherwise derail you. They make discipline easier by removing randomness from your life. Most importantly, routines build dignity, the quiet self-respect that comes from keeping promises to yourself. When you look back after months or years of steady habits, you realize that nothing magical happened in a single moment. Rather, the magic was distributed across thousands of small, unglamorous decisions. And the truth is, when you build routines that align with the person you want to become, the future stops feeling uncertain or intimidating. It becomes something you create with your own hands, day by day, action by action. Build routines that move you toward your goals, and your future will take care of itself because you've ensured it grows from the soil of consistency, intention, and quiet discipline. 2. Why persistence beats intensity. Anyone can be intense for a day, lift heavier than usual, stay up all night grinding, write ferociously for a burst of inspiration, or commit to a new goal with fiery enthusiasm. But intensity is a spark, and sparks burn out quickly. Most people confuse intense effort with long-term progress, but success does not reward occasional heroics. It rewards those who persist even when the fire cools. Persistence is quieter, slower, and far less glamorous than intensity. It doesn't get applause, and it doesn't feel dramatic. Yet persistence is what builds mastery, relationships, businesses, physical strength, financial stability, everything that matters. The people who succeed are not the ones who sprint and collapse, but the ones who keep walking, day after day, even when they don't feel extraordinary. Persistence builds a kind of internal credibility. Every time you show up, you prove to yourself that you are someone who follows through. That self-trust becomes a psychological force multiplier. When you trust your own discipline, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop relying on mood. You stop believing the story that you must feel inspired to move forward. Intensity is seductive because it makes you feel powerful in the moment. Persistence is transformative because it makes you powerful over time. Think of a river cutting through rock, not because of its strength at any single moment, but because it never stops flowing. Persistence allows you to outlast doubt, fatigue, boredom, and setbacks. It allows you to make steady progress that compounds. Small steps taken consistently will outperform giant leaps taken sporadically. Even nature teaches the lesson. A towering tree grows through consistent nourishment, not through a single surge of sunlight. When you embrace persistence, you free yourself from the pressure to be spectacular. You don't need to crush every workout, you just need to show up. You don't need to write a masterpiece. You just need to keep writing. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to make today 1 degree better than yesterday. Over time, persistence becomes strength, then skill, then identity, and finally destiny. And the astonishing part is this. Once you build a reputation with yourself, a reputation for showing up no matter what, success stops being unpredictable. It becomes inevitable. 3. Staying consistent when motivation fades. Motivation is a spark, not a fuel source. It's exciting, energizing, and powerful, but it is also temporary, unpredictable, and emotional. Motivation can start your journey, but discipline is what carries you through the miles that follow. The truth is, no one stays motivated all the time, not even the most disciplined people you admire. What sets them apart is that they don't rely on motivation. They rely on systems, structure, clarity, and purpose. When motivation fades, and it will, your first step is to return to your why. Why did you start this? Why does it matter? Why is it worth the discomfort? Purpose rekindles direction. Next, build systems rather than making vague promises. A system is a container that holds you steady even when your feelings try to pull you off track. If your goal is fitness, create a workout schedule and set clothes out the night before. If your goal is writing, set a word target and a daily writing window. If your goal is financial discipline, automate your savings so your impulses never get the chance to interfere. Consistency thrives when your environment supports your goals, not your distractions. Remove temptations where possible. Organize your digital space, clean your physical space, and create friction around the behaviors you want to avoid. Surround yourself with people who create momentum rather than excuses. Their habits influence yours more than you realize. You also need forgiveness, realistic self-compassion that allows you to fail without quitting. Most people break their consistency not because they fail once, but because they let one failure convince them they're incapable. Treat each slip not as a verdict, but as feedback. Evaluate what went wrong. Adjust. Continue. Another powerful strategy is lowering the barrier to entry. When motivation is absent, the task feels heavier. Reduce the weight. Instead of promising yourself a full workout, commit to 5 minutes. Instead of demanding a full reading session, commit to 1 page. Many times, starting small creates enough momentum to continue. Consistency is built on identity. When you see yourself as someone who shows up regardless of mood, you act accordingly. And the beautiful part is that identity grows through repetition. Every time you follow through when you didn't want to, you strengthen the self-image that sustains long-term growth. Motivation visits occasionally like a guest, but consistency is a resident. You invite it by designing your life so that discipline becomes not just possible, but natural. When motivation disappears, don't chase it. Replace it with structure, intention, and steady action. That is how people who seem unstoppable truly operate. 4. Tracking progress with patience. Consistency without patience leads to frustration. We often mistake the silence of early effort for failure, forgetting that most meaningful progress happens long before it becomes visible. When you begin a new habit, improve a skill, or chase a dream, the early stages feel like walking through fog, uncertain, slow, and uneventful. But this is precisely where growth begins. Progress rarely announces itself with fireworks. It arrives quietly, disguised as small improvements, tiny shifts in discipline, and subtle moments where you choose the long-term path over the short-term temptation. Patience is not passive. It is the active decision to continue even when the evidence of success has not yet appeared. Results don't show up immediately, but progress always does. The mistake most people make is assuming that if results aren't visible, nothing is happening. But think of a seed buried under soil. For weeks, it remains unseen, not because it's stagnant, but because it's establishing roots. Your habits work the same way. The early workouts don't give you instant strength, but they teach your body discipline. The first pages you write won't produce a book, but they create momentum. The initial attempts at a new skill may feel clumsy, but they are forming neurological pathways that eventually make mastery possible. Progress is not the transformation, it is the preparation for it, and preparation always comes first. Track your habits, not just your outcomes. Outcomes can deceive you into thinking nothing is working, especially when you're at the beginning. Habits, on the other hand, tell the truth. A streak of completed tasks, a log of workouts, a record of hours studied, these are signs of forward motion. When you track habits, you shift your identity from someone hoping to succeed to someone who shows up for success. That shift alone is transformative. Habit tracking builds evidence that you are consistent, that you are reliable, that you are becoming the person you want to be. Let the scoreboard be your actions, not the results that may take months or years to catch up. Celebrate small wins. We underestimate the psychological power of acknowledging micro-achievements. A small win is a vote for your future self, a confirmation that you're on the right path. When you honor these wins, you reinforce the behavior, strengthening the habit loop. You begin to associate effort with reward, consistency with pride, and patience with progress. Celebration doesn't mean throwing a party for every tiny achievement. It simply means recognizing that every step taken today makes tomorrow easier. Remember, seeds planted today become forests tomorrow. This is not just a poetic idea, it is a principle of growth. Forests do not appear overnight. They emerge from years of invisible development beneath the ground, slow expansion, and incremental strengthening. Your dreams operate on the same timeline. The actions you take today may feel small, but they are planting the roots of something exponentially greater. Every repetition deepens the foundation. Every day of consistency adds another layer to the trunk of your future success. Don't dig up your dreams because they didn't sprout fast enough. Impatience kills more ambitions than failure ever will. Every time you abandon something because it doesn't produce instant gratification, you reset the clock, forcing yourself back to day one. True progress cannot be rushed. Growth demands faith in the unseen. Trust that your work is accumulating even when it feels still. Trust that the process is shaping you, even when the results haven't surfaced. If you tear up your roots every time you get impatient, you will never experience the harvest waiting for you. Trust the compound effect. Growth is invisible before it becomes unstoppable. Compounding is powerful precisely because it is slow in the beginning. One more repetition seems meaningless. One more day of effort seems small. But over time, these repetitions create a multiplier effect that transforms effort into mastery. What was once difficult becomes natural. What was once inconsistent becomes automatic. And what was once invisible becomes undeniable. Patience is the doorway through which compounding walks. If you can combine consistency with patience, you unlock results that others mistake for talent. 5. Making consistency your superpower. Most people quit not because they're incapable, but because they expect fast results. We live in a world where instant responses, instant entertainment, and instant gratification have conditioned people to believe that progress should be instant too. When success doesn't arrive on schedule, they assume they lack talent, that the path isn't meant for them, or that the goal was unrealistic. But this is an illusion created by comparison and impatience. The truth is simple. Capability isn't the problem. Commitment is. The ones who succeed aren't always the most gifted. They are the ones who stay in the game long after the initial motivation fades. When you master consistency, you unlock an unfair advantage. Consistency compounds in a way that motivation never can. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls like the tide. Consistency is structural. It becomes a system that supports you even on difficult days. While others rely on inspiration, you rely on identity. You become someone who shows up regardless of how you feel. And when you show up repeatedly, you separate yourself from the majority who only act when conditions are perfect. Consistency creates inevitability. It turns effort into excellence and persistence into power. You no longer rely on inspiration, you rely on habit. Habit is the backbone of every achievement worth having. It removes decision-making from the process, eliminating the friction that stops most people. Instead of asking, "Do I feel like doing this today?" you simply do it because that is what you do. Habit is discipline automated. It is the transformation of intention into identity. When your habits align with your goals become unavoidable. This is the essence of consistency, doing small things repeatedly until they produce large outcomes. You don't wait for opportunity, you build it. The people who appear lucky are often the ones who prepared long before a window opened. Consistency turns preparation into a daily practice. Every day you show up, you are sharpening your skill, deepening your experience, and positioning yourself for the moment when opportunity arrives. Instead of hoping for a breakthrough, you craft one. Instead of chasing the right moment, you create the right conditions. Consistency ensures that when opportunity knocks, you are ready, not scrambling to catch up. Success becomes a lifestyle, not a lucky event. When consistency becomes your default mode, success stops feeling like a distant mountain and becomes a natural byproduct of the way you live. You don't chase goals with frantic energy. You build habits that make the goals inevitable. You don't operate in bursts, you operate with steady momentum. Success, then, is not an achievement. It's a reflection of who you are becoming. A person who is consistent becomes a person who is capable of extraordinary outcomes. Make consistency who you are, and success will follow as a natural consequence. Identity is the most powerful driver of behavior. When you identify as someone who shows up, who follows through, who keeps going, your actions fall into alignment. The identity leads the behavior, and the behavior shapes your destiny. Consistency is not about perfection, it is about persistence. It is the daily reaffirmation of your commitment to yourself and your future. When consistency becomes woven into your character, success is no longer something you pursue. It is something you attract. It is not a question of if, but when. Success is neither magical nor mysterious. It's the natural consequence of consistency. So commit today. Start small. Show up daily. And let time do what talent alone cannot. Turn your effort into excellence. Keep going. Your future is being built one consistent step at a time.